So my game sucks. So as my first step to making my game not suck, I'll do what any good game developer would do. Read the feedback you guys gave me on my previous video. Subscribe. Well, don't mind if I do. I am no expert at adding combat to a game. In fact, the first game I ever made, 5 years ago, would just continuously damage the enemy if you were close to it and pressing the attack button. I think despite my lack of experience with combat and games, I did pretty good. I have my very first attack, which is just an attack that goes in front of you, and it required little to no code. In fact, it's just an animation. A few hours and one microphone change later, you can now attack in every single direction. Despite the progress I have made so far, there is still one glaring problem with my combat system. There is nothing to fight. So I gave our blue box a red box to fight. And now that the player has someone to fight, it was time to program an AI for it. After that short coding time-lapse, I finally have a working AI. Now my game feels a lot better because there's actually something to fight. As I'm very bad at video games, I thought it would be interesting to see how these AIs would fight each other, so I put 2 of them in an arena and let them battle it out. Since my AI is very complex, I'll try to describe it as simply as possible. The AI works using a variable called aggression. This variable changes randomly over time and determines how the AI will behave. For example, if the enemy is more aggressive, it will move towards you, but if it is more defensive, it'll try to stay just out of reach of your sword. Or, enemies that are more aggressive will try to stay above the player by jumping, whereas enemies that are more defensive will almost never jump. To make the AI more interesting, I added another feature I call side swap. Basically, a defensive enemy will try to move underneath you to the other side of you if you jump, and an aggressive enemy will try to jump over top of you randomly. Finally, the enemy uses the exact same attack animations that the player uses. The enemy will attack roughly in your direction at random intervals if you are within range of attacking. And finally, since you guys asked for it, I added particles to my game. And now, this is what it looks like. Just kidding, I added some very simple particles for when you get hit and when you die. And with a little bit more editing, I was able to get my particles looking a lot cleaner. Also, consider subscribing.